What if Neo was in MHA? Chapter 2. Getting to the start line. Inherit your power, Izuku asked. What's with that face? It's just a suggestion. The real show starts after this. Listen, young man. You need to decide whether or not you will accept my power, All Might said. What is All Might saying, Izuku thought. I'm talking about my power, young man. The tabloids called it superhuman strength and a boost, and I constantly dodged the question during interviews with a funny joke. Because the symbol of peace, All Might, had to be a natural-born hero. But, young man, I will tell you the truth. My quirk was passed on to me like a sacred torch, All Might said. It was passed on to you, Izuku asked. That's right. And next, it is your turn, All Might said. Wait a minute. It's true that your quirk is something hotly debated as one of the world's greatest mysteries, so much so that not a day goes by when I don't see someone talking about it online. But, well, I don't really understand what you mean by inheriting or passing on a quirk. I've never heard of anything like that before, and it's never even been conjectured in the debate. Why is that? Is it because since the dawn of history, a quirk like that was never confirmed? In the first place, it's Izuku rambled. You always start with denial, huh? Nonsense, All Might. What Izuku said. I may hide a lot of things, but I don't lie. The power to transfer power. That is the quirk I inherited. I was crowned with one for all Might said. One for all, Izuku said. That's right. One person cultivates the power and passes it on to another person, who also cultivates it and passes it on. It is the crystallization of power that spins together the voices of those who need help with a courageous heart, All Might said. Why are you giving me something so great, Izuku asked. I have been looking for a successor. And then, I thought it would be alright for you to inherit it. You are just a quirkless hero fanboy, but you were more heroic than anyone else back there, All Might said. Deku began to tear up. Never mind. Well, it's up to you, though. What'll you do, All Might asked. He said so much to encourage me and even told me his secret. Is there? Of course there isn't. There's no reason for me to turn him down, Izuku thought. I'll do it, Deku said. An immediate reply. That's what I thought you'd say, All Might said. 2 days later, All Might called Izuku and told him to come to Dagobah Municipal Beach Park. Deku arrived at the beach to see it was covered in rubbish and old appliances. All Might, why have you called me here, Izuku asked. Because you're not a proper vessel, All Might said. Huh? What you're saying now is the opposite of what you said before, Deku yelled. I'm talking about your body, All Might said. How, Izuku said. My quirk, one for all, is the fullest physical ability of many people gathered into one. An unprepared body cannot inherit it fully. The limbs will come off and the body will explode, All Might said. The limbs will what, Izuku yelled. That's why we're here. All this waste will be the perfect way to get your body into shape, whilst also doing some good, All Might said. What do you mean, Izuku asked. After some research on the internet yesterday, I discovered that part of this beach park's coast has been like this for many years, All Might said, knocking on a fridge. Ah. Yeah. For some reason, because of the currents, objects drift here a lot, and people take advantage of that to hide their illegal dumping. The local residents don't come near here, either, Izuku said. Heroes these days are all after the showy stuff, All Might said, beginning to crush the fridge with his hand. Originally, being a hero meant doing volunteer service. Even if people called that boring or whatever. You can't waver from those roots. You will restore the horizon for this whole section. That is your first step toward becoming a hero, All Might said, crushing the fridge and causing a shockwave. My first step. Clean. This. All of it, Izuku asked. Young Midoriya, you want to go to UA, right? All Might asked. Yes. Yes. Because it's where you went. So if I'm going to go, I thought, it would definitely have to be you, Izuku said. You're a go-getter fanboy. Well. But I've told you this before. It's not something you can do without a quirk. It's sad, but that is what the reality is. And U.S. the hardest hero course to get into. In other words, All Might said. In the 10 months until U.S. entrance exam, I have to complete my vessel, Izuku said. Correct. Now remove your shirt, All Might said. What? Izuku yelled. I've got to see what I'm working with here. Getting your body ready in 10 months won't be easy, you know, All Might said. Oh, right, Izuku said. Izuku removed his shirt to show a moderately defined body. Not bad at all. You've got a great start. We should have a month or two to spare to practice with one for all before the exam, All Might said. All Might brought out a stack of papers. This is my aim to pass American Dream Plan. It's a training plan to help you finish cleaning up the beach. I'll have you follow this in every aspect of your life if you want the spare time to practice. Izuku looked through the training plan. Even sleep time is included, Izuku said. Frankly, this is a super hard schedule. Can you follow it? All Might asked. Of course. I have to work many times harder than anyone else, or else I can't do it, Izuku said. And so began Izuku's months of hell. It had been a week since Izuku had started training and it was already taking its toll. He was struggling to stay awake during class. This is tough. Potentially 8 months of this and then 2 months of practice, huh? It shouldn't be that hard to be ready for the practical exam, Izuku thought. Izuku began to write a plan in his notebook. But there's the written exam. Hopefully I can get used to it quickly so I can use those last months for final preparations, but will that be enough? Izuku muttered. Midoriya, hey, the teacher yelled, chopping Izuku's head with his quirk. Izuku stopped rambling and covered his mouth. Did your encounter with the villain make you go crazy? The teacher asked. The students began to laugh. It's presumptuous to think of getting into UA like that, the teacher said. A nervous breakdown already? A student asked. That's scary, another student said. Neo then began to worry about Izuku. After class, Neo expressed her concern. Thanks for the concern, Triv, but I'm fine. I'm just training for the UA entrance exam, Izuku said. Neo was shocked to hear this. For some reason now, Izuku's spirits had picked up. She had heard about what happened with the sludge villain and was worried that it had caused some mental damage. I'm fine, Trivia. I've got to go now. I only have 10 months to train, Deku said. Deku then left the classroom, leaving a concerned Neo behind. Later that day, Neo returned to the hideout, and immediately Roman could tell that something was wrong. All right, my little psychopathic second in command, what's wrong? Roman asked. Neo looked at Roman. Problem with chocolate chip mint boy. That's something new, Roman said. Neo looked at Roman with a confused face. What? He's got green hair and freckles. He looks more like mint eye cream than your disguise does, Roman said. Neo pouted. Don't give me that. You're literally Neapolitan ice cream. Anyway, what's wrong with the boy? Roman asked. Neo then expressed her concern for Izuku. So you think he has gone crazy? Pot calling the kettle black much? Roman said. Neo then kicked Roman. Anyway, the only thing you can do is to follow him, Roman said. Neo shook her head. Hey, it's not spying. It's making sure your boyfriend is alright, Roman said. Neo then went to kick Roman again, but he blocked her kick with his cane. Now. We've got a job to do and I can't have you wasting my aura. You don't want me to get caught, do you? Roman asked. Neo's anger subsided. Good. Now let's get to work, Roman said. Months had now passed, and it was now autumn. All Might was riding on a Segway as Izuku was carrying a safe on his shoulder. Izuku then fell to the ground from exhaustion. Hey, what's wrong? Wanna give up? Wanna take it easy and rest today? All Might asked. Izuku tried to pull himself forward. Overwork. The aim to pass, American Dream plan was adjusted with your body in mind to make sure you'd make it in time for the entrance exam. You haven't been sticking to the plan, have you? Overdoing it will have the opposite effect. Don't you want to get in? All Might asked. I do. But I can't just get in, Izuku said. How? All Might said. I have to work a lot more than other people. Or I won't be able to catch up. I want to be like you. I want to become the greatest hero, like you, Izuku said. All Might transformed into his hero form and lifted Izuku up. You go get a fanboy. I like that. But if that's the case, then you really can't rush things now. But I understand your feelings. Leave it to this old guy to adjust your plan, All Might said. You're not old. All Might, Deku said. All Might laughed. Little did the two know that they were being observed. Camouflaged in the woods, Neo had seen everything. She quickly made her exit, being careful not to be heard. She rushed back to the hideout. 8.5 months had now passed since Izuku started training. All Might arrived at the beach early in the morning to see Izuku on a pile of rubbish and heard him screaming. Hey. He even cleaned outside of where I told him to. Seriously. There's not even a speck of dust left. Seriously. He finished at the last minute. More than perfectly. Oh my. Goodness, All Might yelled, transforming into his hero form. Izuku wobbled and then fell off the pile of rubbish. All Might quickly moved to catch him. Good work, All Might said. All Might. I did it, Izuku said. Yeah, you surprised me, you entertainer. Teenagers are amazing. You did good. You really did. You have finally become a suitable vessel, All Might said. I feel like I'm cheating, Izuku said. How? All Might said. You did all this for me. I'm too blessed, Izuku cried. All Might laughed. What are you saying after all this time? It was your own hard work. We'll have to fix those leaky eyes of yours. Now, it's time for the award ceremony, Izuku Midoriya, All Might said. Yes, sir, Izuku said. All Might pulled out a strand of his hair. This is something I was once told, something that you receive because you're lucky and something you are given because you are recognized are different in essence. Take that to heart. This is power that you earned because of your own effort. Eat this, All Might said. Her Izuku questioned. It doesn't really matter what it is as long as you take in my DNA, All Might said. It's too different from what I imagined, Izuku said. Well, it's the way it has to be. I had to eat my master's hair as well, All Might said. Izuku took the strand of All Might's hair and swallowed it. So? Now what? Izuku asked. For now. Take a long break. You've earned it and then you can start actually practicing with One for All. I have some things planned for the weekend that if it goes through, then you'll really be able to practice with One for All, All Might said. And what might that be? Izuku asked. A trip to UA, All Might said. A trip to UA, Izuku yelled. At the end of the week, All Might told Izuku that his request had been approved. The next day, Izuku arrived at the entrance of UA. I can't believe it. I'm actually to be training at UA, Izuku said. Young Midoriya. You're as punctual as usual, All Might said, in his true form. All Might, Izuku said. Shush. There are still students here for extracurricular activities, All Might said. Oh, right, Izuku said. Call me Toshinari when I'm in this form, All Might said. Okay, Izuku said. Now, you'll have to wear this visitor pass whilst you're on campus, so the security system doesn't activate, All Might said. Right. UA's security is one of the best. No one has ever been able to break in, Izuku said. And not like anyone would want to break into UA with all the pros that work here. Now come on, time's a wasting, All Might said. The two then entered UA and headed towards one of the training grounds. As they entered, Izuku saw a short old lady standing in the middle of the room. Young Midoriya, this is All Might said. The youthful heroine, recovery girl. She's the entire reason UA can have such an intensive hero course program, Deku said. When you told me he was a big fanboy, I didn't think it would be to this extent, recovery girl said. I would be surprised if he knew more about me than I did, and thank you for helping us, All Might said. It wouldn't be right for me to ignore your request considering what will happen, recovery girl said. What do you mean, Izuku asked. Remember, One for All is very powerful, and while your body is now a proper vessel, that's all it is. You're ready to contain it, but only just. We need to find a balance of power output that your body can handle, otherwise you'll break every bone in your body, All Might said. Thus, the reason I'm here, but don't think you can just jump in the deep end. I'll only be healing you 5 times for the weekend before I stop the training, and then you'll have to wait for the next weekend, recovery girl said. I see. Then I'll do my best, Izuku said. During the next 6 weeks, Izuku studied for the written exam and practicing with One for All. And soon the day of the entrance exam came. Alright. You can do this, Izuku. You can use 3% of One for All's power. It isn't much, but is much better than being quirkless. And the written exam. I should, Izuku thought. Out of my way, Deku Bakugo yelled. Ah. Kaken, Izuku said. Don't stand in front of me. I'll kill you, Bakugo said. Izuku moved out of the way. Morning. Let's both do our best, Izuku said, stuttering. Bakugo walked past Izuku. Deku said, as Bakugo just ignored him. Hey, isn't that Bakugo? The one with the sludge villain, a student asked. Oh, he's the real thing, another student said. Ever since that day, Kaken hasn't done anything to me. Ha! I was just scared of him out of habit. I'm different from before. Remember these past 10 months? Take the first step to being a hero, Izuku thought. Izuku then tripped and began to fall, but a hand grabbed his and prevented him from falling. Izuku was then pulled back onto his feet. He turned around to see Neo. Neo. What are you doing here? Deku asked. Neo smiled. You've decided to become a hero to support me. Even after what happened to you? Izuku asked. Neo nodded. Thank you, Deku said, hugging Neo tightly. Neo blushed and then hugged Izuku back. The two then soon stopped hugging and entered the school. Though as they entered, Neo felt a wave of guilt flew over her. The real reason why she was here was because of some new business partners Roman had to work with. End of chapter 2.